The space station called Aurora Ring was glowing like a giant Christmas lantern in the dark sky. Every corridor shined with red, gold, and snow-white lights. Children laughed, merchants sang, robots floated with gift boxes. It was the most joyful night of the year, but for one alien woman. The night did not feel joyful at all. Her name was Lyra. She walked slowly through the station with a small translation device on her neck. The device turned sound into soft light patterns because Lyra was deaf. She could not hear the music or the crowd. She only saw shapes and color flashes from her device. She hoped tonight would be different. Tonight, she had a Christmas blind date. Lyra reached a beautiful restaurant with crystal windows and warm red lights. She looked nervous but hopeful. She fixed her silver hair, straightened her long coat, and checked the message on her wrist pad. Human man named Chris, table 7. 19 o'clock. She breathed deeply and walked to the table. Chris arrived 5 minutes later. Tall, brown jacket, confident walk. He stopped in front of her, looked at her face. Her alien markings, her translator. His smile slowly disappeared. Lyra stood up politely and signed a greeting with her hands. The translator device turned her signs into gentle words. Hello, Chris. It is nice to meet you. People at nearby tables watched with interest. Some whispered, some smiled. Some raised eyebrows. Lyra tried to stay calm. But Chris crossed his arms and said loudly, "A deaf alien?" Nobody told me this. The restaurant became silent. Lyra felt the device show a burst of red light, meaning strong sound or anger. She signed back carefully. I can communicate well. I read lips too, but Chris shook his head. I wanted a normal woman, a human woman, not. This Lyra felt like someone had hit her chest. She tried to smile politely, but her hands trembled. Chris picked up his coat and walked away. Next time. Tell the truth on your profile, he said. Then he left the restaurant without looking back. Lyra stood still for a long moment. Her eyes stung. The restaurant lights looked too bright. The human holiday songs meant nothing to her, only color flashes from her device. She sat down slowly, trying not to cry. She wondered why she came. Why she thought someone might accept someone like her. A waiter approached with gentle eyes. Do you want water? His lips said. Lyra read his lips and nodded. She wiped her tears, but new tears came anyway. She felt completely alone on the happiest night of the year. Then something soft touched her sleeve. She turned and saw a small human girl standing beside her. Black hair, big, curious eyes, holding a tiny plush toy. Next to her was another girl, identical, holding the first girl's hand, twin sisters around 5 years old. They looked at her with innocent curiosity, not fear, not judgment. The first girl climbed slightly on the chair and whispered, Miss, why are you sad? Lyra blinked, surprised. The device translated the tiny voice into a soft blue light pattern. She signed slowly, I am okay, little one, but the twins both shook their heads at the same time. You are crying, the second girl said. We saw you. Lyra could not help a small laugh through her sadness. The twins smiled because they made her smile. The first girl pointed at the translator. Is this thing magic? She asked. Lyra shook her head gently. No. It helps me understand because I cannot hear. The twin girls looked at each other with wide eyes. You cannot hear music. You cannot hear Christmas bells. Lyra shook her head again. The twins stepped closer. They reached out and held her hands with their tiny fingers. You are still pretty. One girl said, and you are not alone. The other added. For a moment, Lyra forgot her pain. She felt something warm. Something she had not felt in many years. Kindness, pure, innocent kindness. Before she could respond, loud footsteps approached. Security guards appeared at the entrance of the restaurant. Scanning the room quickly, they called out the twins' names in worried voices. The girls froze, their small hands tightening around Lyra's. The guards moved closer. Something was wrong. Very wrong. The twins looked up at Lyra with scared eyes, and before the guards reached them, one twin whispered a strange sentence that made Lyra's heart stop. "Please don't let them take us back," and the scene faded into deep, heavy suspense, the moment the twins whispered those words. Lyra felt her heart jump. Something in their small voices sounded more than fear. It felt like a plea, like a message hidden inside innocent words. Before she could ask anything, the security guards reached the table. Their boots made heavy steps on the restaurant floor. Everyone turned to look. Even the music lights on her translator grew brighter from the sudden noise. One guard bent down to the twins, trying to sound gentle, but looking tense. "Girls, you wandered too far," his lips said. "You must come with us now." But the twins pressed closer to Lyra. Hiding behind her coat, their tiny hands gripped her arms tightly. Lyra could feel their small fingers shaking. Something was definitely wrong. The second guard scanned Lyra quickly. His eyes paused on her translator device. Then on her alien markings, he raised a brow but did not comment. He looked at the twins again. "Come on, girls, let's go," he repeated. But neither Mira nor Kira moved. Lyra carefully signed, "Is there a problem?" The device turned her signs into calm speech. The guards exchanged a quick look. "No problem," one said too quickly. "They just need to return to the family area." It was a lie. Lyra could feel it. And the twins' frightened eyes made the lie even clearer. The restaurant manager stepped forward politely. "Is everything okay?" he asked, but the guard simply nodded and tried to pull the twins' hands. The girls cried out softly, "Please no, not back there." Lyra couldn't stay silent. She placed a protective arm around the girls and signed firmly. "They don't want to go with you," her device repeated the words out loud. The guards frowned, surprised at her boldness. "Their children," one guard said. "They don't know what they want." The twins trembled harder. One of them whispered to Lyra, "They hurt us," the other added. "They say we are their project." A cold chill ran through Lyra. Project. Not daughters, not family. Project. The word felt sharp, dangerous, heavy with hidden meaning. Something dark was happening behind those guards' uniforms. Lyra stood up slowly. She wasn't tall, but her posture became firm and unafraid. Her silver eyes glowed slightly under the restaurant lights. "I will walk them back myself," she signed. "Just tell me where their home is," her device translated smoothly. But both guards shook their heads instantly. "No outsiders allowed," they said together. The twins looked up at Lyra with desperate hope. Their small voices trembled as they whispered, "Don't leave us, please." Stay. Lyra felt something powerful rise in her chest. A protective feeling she did not expect. She didn't know these children. Yet something about them felt familiar and heartbreaking. Seeing the tension rise, the restaurant manager called station security. Real, neutral station security, not the guards who came for the girls. Moments later, 2 officers arrived. They questioned the guards, asked for IDs, and checked authorization. The guards grew uneasy. They answered too slowly, avoided eye contact. And one guard's hand shook slightly. The twins watched everything with wide eyes when one officer asked, "Are these girls officially registered as dependents?" The guard's answer came delayed and unsure. That was enough. The officers ordered everyone to calm down and escorted the twins and Lyra to a quiet interview room. There, away from the restaurant noise. The girls finally relaxed a little. One officer offered them warm drinks. The twins took the cups, but didn't drink. They only looked at Lyra, like she was the only safe person in the room. After a few questions, the officers realized something was strange. The guards who tried to take the girls did not match official records. They worked for a private sector inside the station. a research department with restricted access. But the officers could not enter that area without clearance. They had to let the twins go for now. But they recorded everything they promised to investigate. Lyra walked the twins out of the office, her steps slow. The Christmas lights of the station looked softer now. Like the night itself was watching, the twins held her hands tightly. One on each side, they said nothing. They didn't need to. Lyra could feel their fear through their touch. When they reached a quiet balcony area, the twins finally spoke. "Miss Lyra," Mira whispered. Kira continued. "We can trust you." Lyra knelt down in front of them. She signed gently. "Why did you ask me not to let them take you?" The twins looked at each other. And then Kira, with a tiny, trembling voice, said the words that changed everything, "Because we were made in a lab, not born. And they say we are not real children." Lyra froze, her heart pounded. And the twins added softly, "Please help us. You are the only one who looked at us like we are alive." The Christmas night suddenly felt colder, darker, and deeper than before. Lyra stood frozen as the twins' words echoed inside her mind. Made in a lab, not real children. The soft Christmas lights around them glowed gently. But the night did not feel gentle anymore. It felt heavy, cold, and full of secrets. The twins sat beside Lyra on the empty balcony, their small feet dangling over the metal step. Mira hugged her plush toy tight. Kira held Lyra's coat with both hands. Their eyes were too old for their age, too full of hidden fear. Lyra could not ignore the truth anymore. These girls were in danger. She signed slowly to them. "I will help you." Both twins looked up at her with hope and fear mixed together. But before she could ask more questions, the station speakers lit up with flashing red lights. The translator device turned the alarm sound into a hard, flickering red bar. Security announcement symbols moved across the walls. Unregistered miners sighted on Deck 7, units dispatched, contain and return. The twins gasped lightly. "They are looking for us again," Mira whispered. "They always do," Kira added. Lyra felt her chest tighten. There was no time to think. She lifted both girls gently and guided them into the deeper corridors of the station. The Christmas crowds were growing thin as the night got later. Shops were closing, lights dimming, holiday music fading. But Lyra's translator kept glowing with warning colors. Red for alarms, yellow for footsteps, blue for voices calling the twins' names. The girls squeezed her hands harder each time a blue signal appeared. Lyra guided them into a maintenance passage, a place most civilians didn't know. The walls were darker, the lights fewer. Pipes hummed, vents rattled, and metallic smells filled the air. Here, Lyra could think clearly. She knelt in front of the twins and signed firmly. "Tell me where you came from." Myra pointed downward with her tiny finger. "Below Deck 12, she said. Kira nodded. Behind the big silver doors, Lyra knew that area. It was restricted, used for research labs and storage. Only authorized people were allowed inside, and now she understood why those fake guards lied earlier. She took a deep breath and stood up. "We will go there," she signed. The twins looked shocked. "No," Mira said. "It is dangerous," Kira added. Lyra touched their heads gently. "I must see the truth," she signed, "for your safety." They walked quietly through the maintenance tunnels. Each turn felt darker than the last. Each corner felt like someone might be watching. The twins stayed close, whispering warnings. "Don't go that way. Someone is there. Stop. Wait." Lyra listened to every whisper. The girls seemed to sense danger before anything appeared. Like they could feel emotions through walls, finally. They reached a vent that looked down into the restricted lab hallway. Lyra peered through the metal slits. Her translator glowed bright yellow from distant voices. The hallway was long and bright. Silver floors, glass walls, cold lights. Inside the transparent rooms, Lyra saw machines. Glowing pods, medical tables. Some pods were cracked, others broken. Strange symbols were written on the walls. Symbols that looked like formulas mixed with drawings made by children. On one wall, scribbled with small, shaky hands, were the words, "We want a home." Lyra felt her throat tighten. She whispered through signs, "You escaped from here." The twins nodded sadly. "They ran tests every day," Mira said. "They said we must not touch sunlight," Kira added. "They wanted to take our feelings away," Mira whispered. "So we ran," Kira finished. Lyra felt a fire burn inside her chest, stronger than fear. These girls were treated like tools, not children. She could not stay silent anymore. She moved the vent grate carefully and climbed down. The twins followed quietly, holding her hands. They stepped into the hallway. The air was cold like winter snow. The smell of chemicals filled Lyra's lungs. The twins shivered beside her. They pointed toward the back room. "That is where they kept us." Lyra pushed the door open slowly. Inside the room were small beds with numbers instead of names. Tiny dresses folded like uniforms, drawings taped to the wall, drawings of stars, hearts, and two stick-figure girls holding hands. Lyra's heart sank deeper. On the table, she found a tablet with documents. Her eyes widened when she read one sentence. Subject Mira and Subject Kira show emotional linkability and rapid healing response. Return to containment immediately, suddenly. The translator flashed red, footsteps outside, voices approaching. The door panel locked automatically from the outside. Someone had trapped them inside the lab. The twins clung to Lyra in fear. And Lyra realized the truth with chilling clarity. Someone knew they had returned. Someone was coming for them. The room felt colder the moment the door locked. A soft metallic click echoed through Lyra's translator as a sharp red flash appeared. Mira and Kira held Lyra tightly. Trembling, the empty beds, the numbered toys, the cold walls, they all felt like silent witnesses to the girl's past. Lyra quickly scanned the room for exits. She tried the door panel, but the access light turned red every time. Unauthorized, the display repeated again and again. Someone outside knew they were inside. Someone wanted to trap them. Myra tugged Lyra's coat gently. "They will take us again," she whispered. Kira shook her head fearfully. "We cannot go back inside the white room." Lyra knelt in front of them, placing both hands on their small shoulders. "You are safe with me," she signed firmly. Her device repeated her message in a calm but strong voice. The twins watched her with watery eyes, trusting her completely. Suddenly, a loud metallic sound came from the hallway. Heavy boots, multiple steps, voices shifting between angry and alert. The translator glowed with red and yellow light flashes. Overwhelmed by the incoming noise, Lyra guided the twins behind a tall cabinet. She placed herself in front of them like a shield. She stayed very still, breathing slowly. The girls pressed their foreheads against her back, trying to stay silent. Through the thin gap between the furniture and the wall, Lyra saw shadows move outside the glass, men in dark uniforms. Their badges did not belong to station security. These were private guards, the same type she saw earlier in the restaurant. One guard tapped the glass with a scanner. "Subject retrieval zone confirmed," his lips said. The translator displayed only one chilling word: "Capture." Mira covered her mouth to stop a cry. Kira shut her eyes tightly. Trembling, Lyra held their hands, steady and warm. She knew they could not wait for rescue. They had to escape on their own. She moved silently to the workstation at the side of the room. Her fingers flew across the screen. Lines of data scrolled fast. Access codes, project names, medical files. But one file stopped her cold. It read, "Project Startwind's Emotional Resonance Experiment." Phase 3 authorization pending. Her heart tightened as she opened the file. Inside were diagrams of the twins' brains, notes about their healing ability, details of how their emotions linked like a single shared energy, and a final line that made Lyra's blood run cold. Do not allow emotional bonding with outside subjects. She looked up at the girls. They were watching her from the shadows, their small faces frightened but trusting. And she understood why the guards were desperate to take them back. The twins were not seen as children. They were seen as property, living tools, experiments. No. Lyra would never let that happen. She kept searching through the system and finally found a ventilation diagram. A small maintenance vent behind the storage crates led to the lower ducts. It was narrow, dark, and unstable, but it was the only path the guards wouldn't expect. She hurried back to the twins and whispered through signs. "We must crawl through a vent." The girls nodded without arguing. They trusted her completely now. Lyra pushed the storage crates aside, revealing the small, square opening. Cold air blew through it like a warning. Myra crawled in first. Clutching her plush toy, Kira followed. Her small hands shaking, Lyra entered last. Sealing the grate behind them, the sound of boots filled the room just seconds later. The guards had broken in. "We lost them," one guard said angrily. "Find them before they reach the public decks." Their voices faded as the vent tunnel curved downward. The vent walls were narrow and dim. Lit only by soft blue emergency lights, dust floated in the air, and metal echoed with every small movement. The twins crawled slowly, whispering warnings. "Someone is behind us." No, someone is ahead too. Their sensing ability was stronger than Lyra expected. They could feel danger like a cold wind. Even before the sound reached them, the tunnel split into two paths. Lyra paused, unsure. She looked at the twins. They closed their eyes for a moment, their hands touching lightly. Then Kira pointed right. "That way is safer." Myra nodded. "We feel less fear there." They crawled quickly through the right tunnel. The space became wider, and soon they reached a large metal grate. Lyra pushed it open carefully. It led into a storage bay full of old crates and silent machines. Finally, they could stand. The twins clung to her legs, exhausted but brave. Lyra lifted them both into her arms. "You are free now," she signed softly. But Mira shook her head. Kira whispered, "No. We are not free until they stop chasing us." Lyra knew they were right. Their escape was only beginning. The truth about the twins was darker than she imagined. And someone powerful wanted them back. As the storage bay lights flickered overhead, Lyra made her decision. She would not run anymore. She would fight, not just to protect them, but to uncover the full truth of why these children were created. The journey into the lower decks was far from over, and the danger waiting ahead was stronger than anything behind them. The storage bay was silent, but the silence did not feel safe. It felt like the air was holding its breath, waiting for danger to find them. Lyra set the twins down gently, her silver eyes scanning every corner of the dim room. Old machines stood like metal giants in the dark. Dust floated in the cold air. Catching the faint blue lights from the ceiling, the girls clung to her coat, their small faces pale. They had escaped the lab, but the hunters were not far behind. Lyra signed softly. "We must keep moving." The translator turned her words into a calm voice. But the twins could sense her fear. They held her hands tighter. Their emotional link ability made them feel every worry she had inside. Mira whispered, "They are still searching for us," Kira added. "We can feel their anger." Lyra took a deep breath and tried to appear strong. She led them toward the back door of the storage bay. It opened into a long industrial walkway covered in pipes and steam vents. The metal floor vibrated gently from the engines deep below. This place was far from the warm Christmas lights above. Here, the world felt cold, mechanical, hidden. A place where secrets survived and people disappeared. The twins walked carefully, staying close to Lyra's sides. Their small footsteps echoed softly. Every sound made them jump. A clank, a hiss, a distant alarm. Lyra kept her translator on full alert. It flashed colors for every sound the twins could not explain. As they moved deeper into the lower decks, Mira suddenly stopped. She grabbed Lyra's sleeve with urgency. "Someone is coming from behind," she whispered. Kira pointed forward, eyes wide. "And someone is coming from ahead." Lyra froze. They were being closed in from both sides. Trapped in the middle of a long corridor with no cover except pipes and shadows. She scanned quickly and found an emergency maintenance hatch half hidden behind a broken panel. It was small, dusty, and barely big enough for an adult. But it might be their only chance. Lyra opened the hatch and pushed the twins inside. "Go, crawl fast," she signed. The girls moved without hesitation. Trusting her completely, Lyra followed behind, closing the hatch just as footsteps filled the corridor. Inside the narrow passage, the air smelled of metal and cold steam. Dark pipes ran above their heads. Dripping tiny beads of water, the twins crawled ahead, whispering warnings, "Turn left, stop. Danger ahead, go now." Their strange ability guided them through the maze better than any map could. The passage sloped downward into the engine maintenance level. The temperature rose slowly, and thick steam blurred the lights. Machines roared below like giant beasts. The floor vibrated with deep thunder. The twins covered their ears, even though they could not hear the sound itself. They felt the pressure, the energy, the danger. Lyra pulled them close when they finally reached a wider service tunnel. "Are you hurt?" She signed. Both girls shook their heads. But Mira pointed behind them with a trembling finger. "They are coming through the tunnel too." Lyra cursed silently in her mind. She knew they couldn't outrun hunters in such tight spaces. They needed a new route, something the hunters would not expect. She scanned the area and found a heavy maintenance lift. It was old, rusty, rarely used, but it went even deeper into the power core decks, places where no ordinary citizen dared to go. She led the twins onto the lift and pressed the manual override. Sparks flew, gears screamed, and the lift groaned as it began to drop. The tunnel above filled with echoing voices. They went down, block all exits, recover the subjects. The twins held on to Lyra as the lift shook violently. Steam burst from the walls. The metal rattled like it would break apart. But finally, the lift stopped with a loud crash. They had reached one of the lowest decks on the station. The doors slid open to reveal a massive underground world. Pipes stretched like giant roots. Red warning lights blinked. Hot steam clouds drifted across the metal platforms. This place was not meant for children or civilians. It was dangerous, unpredictable, and full of hidden corners. But it was also the perfect place to disappear. The twins stepped out first. Looking around carefully, Kira whispered, "We feel scared here, but we also feel safe from them," Myra added softly. Lyra nodded. "This place will hide us," she signed. "But we must stay alert." They walked carefully along the narrow platform. Every shadow felt alive. Every burst of steam felt like a warning. Yet the twins' hands stayed warm in Lyra's. Their trust gave her strength. Their courage pushed her forward. Then, from across the lower deck, a loud metallic crash echoed. The translator flashed bright red. Something or someone was down here with them, hunting, searching, waiting. Lyra pulled the twins close and whispered through her signs, "Stay behind me." The girls nodded silently. Fear flickered in their eyes, but their steps did not stop. Their escape was far from over. and the danger in the shadows was closer than ever before. Asterisk, the metallic crash echoed across the lower deck like a warning. Steam hissed from broken pipes, drifting like white ghosts across the shadows. Lyra pulled the twins gently behind her, her silver eyes glowing faintly in the dim red lights. Her heartbeat was calm but strong. She knew the hunters were close. She knew there was no turning back. Mira and Kira pressed against her legs, their tiny hands trembling, but their eyes stayed focused. They could feel the emotions in the air: fear, anger, determination, they whispered softly. They are coming. 4 of them. One is very angry. Lyra nodded. She trusted the girl's senses more than her translator's flashing lights. She took a deep breath and activated a small wrist device hidden beneath her sleeve. A soft blue shield shimmered around her hand. It was weak and old, but any protection was better than none. The metal walkway under them vibrated suddenly. A heavy door crashed open on the far side. Steam rushed out, revealing dark silhouettes of armed hunters. Their armor reflected the red warning lights. Their boots clanged like thunder with each step. One of the hunters pointed directly at the twins. Subjects located, his lips said. The translator displayed the word. Capture. Kira gasped and hid behind Lyra's coat. Mira clutched her plush toy tightly, her eyes wide. Lyra stepped forward. She stood tall, even in the thick fog of steam. She signed slowly and clearly. They are not your property. Her translator repeated it with a firm voice. The hunters ignored the message. They lifted stun weapons powered with blue electric light. Stand aside, one ordered. Return the subjects. Lyra did not move. Her shield hummed with soft blue energy. Her hair flickered under the red lights like a warning flame. She signed again, louder and sharper. No, the hunters fired. A burst of blue electricity shot toward her like lightning. The shield held for a few seconds, sparks flew, metal screeched. Then the force threw Lyra backward across the walkway. She hit the ground hard, sliding across the metal floor. The twins screamed and ran to her side. Mira touched her arm. Kira pressed her small hands on Lyra's chest. Their emotions connected like a bright thread. Warmth spread through Lyra's body. Her pain faded slowly. The girls were healing her again, but the hunters kept coming. Their heavy boots shook the platform. Their weapons charged again. The twins stood in front of Lyra. Trying to protect her, they were small, fragile, but brave. Their eyes glowed faintly as if their shared power was waking. Move, one hunter growled. We will not harm you. That is a lie, Mira whispered. We feel your fear, Kira added. We feel your anger. The hunters hesitated. Confused, they did not expect the children to speak. They did not expect them to see through emotion so clearly. Lyra pushed herself up slowly. Her shield flickered back on with the last bit of energy it had. She staggered forward, positioning herself between the twins and the hunters again. She signed boldly. You will not touch them. One hunter stepped closer. Raising his weapon, Lyra reacted instantly. She swung her arm, releasing a silent pulse wave of energy from her alien tech. The blast hit the hunter in the chest and threw him against a steel beam. He fell limp, unconscious. The other hunters backed up for a moment. Surprised and angry, take her down, one shouted. 2 hunters rushed forward. Lyra dodged the first one. The second swung a baton, catching her arm. She stumbled, but stayed on her feet. Her shield flickered and cracked. She was running out of strength. The twins cried out. Stop hurting her. Stop hurting our mom. The word mom froze the hunters. Even Lyra felt her heart stop for a moment. Mom. The girls had chosen her. They believed in her. They loved her. A strange glow began to spread across the twins' small hands, bright white at first, then soft gold. Their eyes shined as their emotional link power awakened fully. The air around them rippled like heat waves. Lyra watched in shock as their tiny hands glowed brighter and brighter. The hunters stepped back, frightened. What is happening? One shouted, "Control them!" Another yelled. But it was too late. Mira and Kira held hands tightly. Their shared power surged like a living storm. Light burst from their palms. A soft explosion of pure emotion, fear, love, pain. Hope all mixed into one powerful wave. The hunters were thrown backward instantly. Their weapons hit the floor, sparking. Their armor lights flickered and shut down. They collapsed, stunned and unconscious. Silence filled the lower deck. Steam drifted gently across the walkway again. The twins' glow faded slowly. They fell to their knees. Exhausted Lyra rushed to them, pulling them into her arms. They hugged her tightly, crying softly. "You protected us," Mira whispered. "You stayed with us," Kira added. Lyra held them close. Her eyes filled with tears she could not hear. But she felt everything in their touch. The final stand was over. But the fight for their future had just begun. The lower deck fell into a heavy silence after the twins' power faded. Steam drifted slowly through the pipes, soft and harmless now. The unconscious hunters lay scattered across the metal floor. Their weapons crackled weakly, blue sparks dying out one by one. Lyra held the trembling twins close, her arms wrapped around both girls like a shield. Their small bodies shook from the strain of their power. Their breathing was fast and uneven. But they were alive. They were safe. For now. Lyra lifted their faces gently. Her silver eyes were full of worry. "Are you hurt?" She signed softly. The translator spoke the words like a whisper. Mira shook her head weakly. Kira leaned against Lyra's chest. "Exhausted? We are okay," she whispered. "We only feel tired," Mira added. Lyra hugged them again. Her heart felt full and heavy at the same time. These children were too young to fight. Too young to carry power so strong that it shook the metal floor. She kissed their foreheads softly. "You are brave," she signed. "And you are not alone anymore." Before the twins could answer, the sound of rushing footsteps echoed through the deck. Lyra immediately pulled the girls behind her again. Her shield flickered on instinct, though it was almost out of energy. But this time, the footsteps were different. Lighter, steady, organized. Blue lights flashed across the walkway. Voices called out. "Station security. Identify your location. Real security. Not hunters, not private guards, not people working for the lab." Lyra stepped forward slowly, with her hands raised. The twins peeked over her shoulder nervously. Station officers rushed into the area, weapons lowered but ready. Their uniforms glowed under the red emergency lights. One officer scanned the scene. His eyes widened when he saw the unconscious hunters. And the small twin girls clinging to Lyra's coat. "Ma'am, are you hurt?" he asked. Lyra shook her head. "I protected them," she signed. They were being hunted. The translator repeated her words clearly. The officer nodded slowly. "We received anonymous reports about illegal activity in the research sector," he said. "We have been looking for these children for hours." The twins stepped forward nervously. Myra whispered, "Are you here to take us back?" Kira squeezed her sister's hand back to the lab. The officer knelt to their level with gentle eyes. "No," he said firmly. "You are not going back there." He scanned a small tablet. A soft chime sounded. "The lab was shut down by order of the station council," he explained. "The guards who chased you are being arrested." The twins looked at each other with shaking breaths. Their small bodies relaxed for the first time that night. They pressed their faces against Lyra's sides. Holding her tightly, the officer turned to Lyra. "Ma'am, we need to take official statements," he said. "And we need to check the children's legal status." Lyra nodded. But Mira suddenly grabbed her coat. "Don't leave us," she whispered. Kira's eyes filled with tears. "Stay with us." "Please." Lyra looked at the officer. "You can stay with them," he said kindly. "They trust you." They moved as a group into a brighter inspection room. Medical drones scanned the children and confirmed no injuries. Another officer checked records and files. Finally, the council's legal officer entered the room with a serious expression. He held a tablet filled with reports about the Starwinds project. He looked at the girls and then at Lyra. "These children," he said, "have full human rights. They are recognized as independent persons. Not lab property. They deserve protection, education, and a safe home." The twins slowly turned to Lyra. Their eyes were still tired but full of hope. Softly, with voices almost too small to hear, Mira asked, "Does that mean we can choose?" Kira added, "Can we choose who stays with us?" The legal officer nodded. "As long as the person is willing and safe," he said. "You may choose." The girls looked at each other. Then they turned to Lyra, with tears shining in their eyes. They stepped forward together, holding hands tight. Mira whispered, "Miss Lyra." Kira finished the sentence, "Can you be our new mom?" The room grew quiet. Lyra felt her heart swell with warmth she hadn't felt in years. She knelt on one knee and opened her arms slowly. The twins ran into them at once. She held them close. Tears slipping down her cheeks, she signed softly, hands trembling with emotion. "Yes, I will be your mother. I will protect you. I will never let you be alone again." The translator spoke her words. But the twins didn't need the device. They understood her through touch. Through emotion, through love, they hugged her even tighter. Their small hearts beating fast with joy. Outside, the station lights glowed like falling stars. Snow-like particles drifted through the air as Christmas celebrations continued above. Lyra couldn't hear the music, but she felt the warmth of the night through the two small hands in hers. She walked out of the security office with the twins beside her. A new family, a new beginning, a new life waiting beyond the station lights. And for the first time in a long, long while, Lyra felt truly home.